So I could factor it by grouping. If I were to take 2x cubed plus x squared plus 2x plus 1 equals 0, I can group the first two, the last two. Greatest common factor is x squared. This is 2x plus 1 plus greatest common factor is 1. 2x plus 1 equals 0. So this factors into 2x plus 1 times x squared plus 1 equals 0. My only rational root is negative 1/2. These x squared plus 1, that's imaginary. So I've got one real root. We won't be doing the imaginaries for another section or so. So it says, this is degree 3. So this is the process. That's what I'm going to expect when I do the factorization. And so this is what degree? 3. What's the maximum number of zeros? 3. List all the possible rational zeros. I want the factors of the back divided by the factors of the front. So I just do B over F, which is back over front. The back is 1, so it's just plus or minus 1. The front is 2, so it's plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2. And then I make my list. Plus or minus 1 into plus or minus 1 is plus or minus 1. Plus or minus 2 into plus or minus 1 is plus or minus 1/2. I've got 4 of them. I need at most 3. And then I narrow the list. Now this is where you would use the upper and lower bound rule and Descartes' rule of signs and all kinds of stuff to narrow the list, but we're going to use our calculators. And what we're going to do is this, y equal, and I'm just going to type in 2x to the 3 plus x squared plus 2x plus 1 Now my zeros are between minus 10 and 10. So that is the natural window for this calculator. So if I do a zoom and I do a zoom standard, which is a zoom 6, that brings my window into play, standard graphing window. I will see the potential 0 there. And if you look, where it appears to cross the x-axis is only one place, and it's not at the origin, and it's not at -1. It appears in my list, because here's my list. It's plus or minus 1 or plus or minus 1/2. If you had to guess, what's that number? -1/2. So that says, looking at the graph, I can narrow my list to -1/2. I'm going to check to see if -1/2 is a 0. Now, how do I do that? That 0 is in my window. So all I need to do is to hit trace. You see the bug on the graph right here. I'm now on the graph proper. This says if x equals 0, y equals 1. If I type in what I think my 0 is, -1 divide 2, press enter, you notice it says if x equals -1/2, y equals 0. That tells me that -1/2 is a 0. And if I had 3 or 4 of them, as long as I don't touch anything, I just keep typing in numbers and I can get my zeros. It'll just keep going like the Energizer Bunny. So that says I narrowed my list. X equal -1/2 is a 0. This means x plus 1/2 is a what? Factor, right? It says find the factorization and any real zeros. Now, if x minus plus 1/2 is a factor, I can use division to divide out x plus 1/2. But I can use synthetic division, which is quick. 2, 1, 2, 1. Make sure my signs are in there. I'm going to divide by negative 1/2. That's the 0. Bring down the 2. Negative 1/2, 2 is negative 1 and add. Negative 1/2 times 0 is 0 and add. Negative 1/2 times 2 is negative 1 and add. If you remember, this is the remainder. This is the constant. This is the coefficient of x. This is the coefficient of x squared. That says this is 2x squared plus 2. Now, if I had to take 2x squared plus 2, set it equal to 0, this would be 2 times x squared plus 1 equals 0. Unfortunately, that's x squared plus 1. These are imaginary zeros. So that means in factored form, 2x cubed plus x squared plus 2x plus 1 is equal to 2 times x squared plus 1 times x, x plus 1/2. So this says this is the factored form. Because if we know the zeros, then we know the factors.